Hi everyone, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and the Star Trek stream. Sorry we're a bit late today. As Hammer just said, the kids were being kids and they wouldn't go to sleep. So sorry about all that. Tonight we've got Polydub and Hammer with me. Skeptalk is feeling under the weather. So it's just us three and we're going to be talking about the two-part episodes. And I've decided that we're going to start with Next Gen because I think there's only one two-parter in TOS. And I really don't think I can do a whole hour and a half on Menagerie, although it's a great episode.
I don't know, you get me and Polly talking. We can do it.
So we've got 10 two-parters from Next Gen. That, of course, count. And then we've got Best of Both Worlds, Redemption, Reunification, Time's Arrow, Chain of Command, Birthright, Gambit, and All Good Things. I can't believe I remembered all of that. So I guess we'll start with I'm going to say what my favorite out of those are, and that's a hard one because they're all good. But I would have to say that my favorite two-parter, and it's Shade one, but it's Best of Both Worlds. No, you don't think so?
No, I mean it's the go-to. Everyone likes it.
It is the go-to.
Great two shows. I think Polly would agree. If you were here.
Did Polly's mic cut out again? Uh-oh.
But yeah, it's kind of it is a great two episode. It was a great first episode. I'll give it that much. The second one, not quite as great as the first one, but okay.
Yeah, I will say that Wesley Crusher saving the day again was kind of because he was like, look, they're all like, didn't he have something to do with? No, it wasn't him. It was
Data.
It was Data, but Dr. Crusher being really annoying at the end was the whole, when he goes sleep, Data, she was, he must be exhausted. It's like,
physician doctor, I believe he's advocating a course of action or something along that line.
Yeah, exactly.
Sleep, Data. I'm sorry. It's just
hello.
There you are.
You can actually hear me?
Yes, yep. I can.
Okay.
So Best of Both Worlds is kind of a go-to best episode out of the two-parters.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hammer and I make this distinction all the time. There's the best, and then there's your favorite.
That's true.
Yeah. I would say it's arguably, Best of Both Worlds is the best, but it's not my favorite two-parter.
Okay, I got you.
This would be interesting.
What's your favorite?
For me, Chain of Command.
Yep.
Yeah. I like Chain of Command. Chain of Command is a good episode.
What about Chain of Command makes it your favorite?
Two things simultaneously that run because they run together, right? There's two stories.
One word says why, but you go ahead first.
It's unfortunately I have to give like a double answer because there's two things that are awesome about it that are running simultaneously in it. Picard and his torturer is just epic. Like it's just extreme high drama. You got Warner and Stewart going, two super high end actors, and it's just like the script is great. They're giving their A game top notch, and then Captain Jellicoe versus the entire crew is so great.
Yeah. It's just my one word was Jellicoe.
Yeah, like it's just I love bitchy, whiny LaForge so much. I love, it's like he's not giving me the time that I need. Like it's and he doesn't care. He doesn't want to cure it.
I love how Deanna was trying to back up Jellicoe until Jellicoe was like, I don't like what you're wearing. Oh, fuck you.
And just
Johnny Cox is a great actor too. So
oh yeah, like it just what a great choice, because you have to have somebody who's can have the confidence and the bearing to be able to come across like that. And the super friendly relationship where they're just like the get along gang between the whole bridge crew, and especially between Picard and Riker. And now you got this relationship between Jellicoe and Riker. It's like, I don't like you, pretty boy. And he can't seem to do nothing right. It's great.
And Riker's like, I don't like you either, you asshole.
Yeah, it's not everything can be. It's like I don't even at the transfer of command ceremony in 10 Forward, where the crew is beginning to like. I love that little idea. It's like, how long term do you think that this change of command is going to be? And Riker says, I don't know. They usually don't go through the ceremony if it's just a temporary change of orders. And they're already like, oh, we're losing. You can't really like they just
exactly.
And then Jellicoe's response to Deanna when she's kind of like, maybe everybody just needs some time for everyone to get to know you. If he goes, well, I understand what you're saying here, counselor. Unfortunately, I don't have time for a honeymoon with the crew. So if you can handle the morale issues, he chalks it up to just morale. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can handle the morale issues of me treating the crew like pieces of shit and
You think there's going to be a point there where he's going to say, "Oh yeah, you're right. I should probably be a little easy about it," and he starts off that way,
right? Exactly.
You know, it's like he's going to he's going to be a little bit more, supple with the crew and all that kind of stuff. He's, but nah, fuck them. It's just so you're heading down one way, and bam, he puts you in the other direction.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
And there is something to be said for the like. I guess you could kind of criticize it. I would have liked to have seen Jellicoe being a little bit more right, because you kind of have to make an argument for, he is the captain. He's not wrong in what he's saying. I would have liked to have seen a couple more things that show like the crew's being resistant, just in the sense that they're set in their ways in the same way that Jellicoe is. So they're as wrong as he is. Jellicoe's line to Riker becomes, get it done.
Yeah.
Because he's not following orders in a lot of ways. You're used to doing it in a certain way. It's like, well, I was going to talk to you about this, but that order you issued for a four set crew rotation is going to cause significant personnel problems. And it's like Jellicoe's just looking at him like, did you not understand the order?
Yeah.
And if there was an issue, you should have come to me with it immediately instead of like waiting and hanging out. Like he's not wrong. Like, we're to the point where your commanding officer has to be, here's the order. Now remember, get it done. You actually have to go do this.
Yeah.
He was right too, because he had the Enterprise tuned for a fight. And there was a point in that at the end when he's going up against the Gulls where he better have had that ship ready for a fight, because it looked like that fight was going to happen. So he was wrong.
I forgot about that, because you're right, because there is a point where here's the changes that I want made because I want to be, quote, loaded for bear.
Yeah.
It goes, yeah, but if we do that, Geordi whines, we're going to have to shut down the plant lab and stellar cartography, and the chess sets won't work anymore. Like, or whatever he said, right? And Jellicoe's like, we're not on a research mission. Get it done. Like, why are you guys resisting everything I'm saying? It's but we won't have to be able to go to the holodeck and play things. Like, it was great. It was like, yeah, you are in a military organization here on LaForge,
Welcome to the Federation, by the way.
It's
you need to get stuff done, dude. I'm not sure what you're playing around at, but let's get this thing taken care of. He's right. You're absolutely right. He is. They're just used to Picard's casual demeanor.
Yep. And it or just the way he did things, and they assume that's the way that it should be done, and they became set in their ways, as Jellicoe's set in his ways, but he's a commanding officer and you're not. Get it done.
Well, and even Picard was like, he tried to talk to Jellicoe, but then even he was telling Riker, like, look, dude, Jellicoe's captain right now. Like, I'll try and talk to him, but
Did you like? Well, I mean, I'm not even sure if that line was necessary because it just makes Jellicoe seem like nothing but a prick. Because when he's talking to a fellow captain, Picard,
yeah,
he's like, "With all due respect, Jean-Luc, the Enterprise is mine now, and let's be honest, you're not coming back from this mission." It's like, God damn, man.
yeah. If I was Picard, I would have been like, bitch, I was a Borg.
Yeah, and he does kind of like cuck out of the ready room. It's like, oh, and Jean-Luc, I think this is yours, and hands him his Shakespeare collection or whatever
Yeah.
it was. And Picard just like, yep, thank you, gives him a little smile and
Yeah.
sulks away.
Yeah, it's like, really?
Again, Jellicoe's not wrong.
Emo
Everything is
Jordy,
good.
says Jesse. Yeah, emo Jordy.
Emo Jordy. Yeah, the get along gang aspect of the crew does kind of, I don't know.
It makes for great fodder in this, though.
Yes, it does.
What's the imperative? I don't want to get too much into the directives here, but the great bird of the galaxy, Gene Roddenberry, said the crew must be able to get along with everybody. Everybody has to be beautiful and fun and happy in the future, and that was his edict. This is how the show has to be made.
Mhm.
So here's your opportunity to turn that against the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not often you see that. It'll come up a lot more in Voyager, which it should have, because the Maquis and the Starfleet crew, which of course everybody points out they didn't make enough hay out of. They should have done more with that. But you see Janeway and Chakotay butting heads a number of times, to the point where she even like relieves him of command on 2 different occasions. It's great storytelling, because it's, I don't know, like when you're in the Federation and there's you've got a million ships backing you up, it's far less likely in a very highly structured command situation where that's going to happen. But out in the middle of the fucking Delta Quadrant, like, yeah, I can see it going to hell a lot faster.
Somebody in chat brought up Data on the Sutherland. That's redemption, and that's a great 2-parter.
Mr. Thompson, you will follow my orders, or I will leave you a command.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Data.
And you just see Brent Spiner as a monster actor yet again, because it's like he's never really displayed harsh commanding presence before, but like the first time he does it, it's like, whoa, like, you're
and the cool thing is he's not doing it because he feels that way.
No,
he's doing it because it's necessary to get a human being to respond to him properly.
Yeah.
It's all it's cerebral to him. It's not emotional.
No.
Well, that guy, man, talk about a whiner.
Oh my
You don't
God.
care about those people that you're sending to your blah, blah, blah. Like, it's the middle of a battle situation, and this guy's giving soliloquies about morality. Like, what the fuck?
And the same point applies to him that it does with Jellicoe, because he goes to Data at the very beginning and says, I wouldn't be a very good first officer for you. And Data nods his head sagely and says, I understand. And you think like, oh, okay, he's going to let him go. And he says, permission denied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jellicoe. Leads you down the path where you think it's going to be all okay at the end, but no, it's not. It's not.
He's just like, nah, fuck off.
You see a little bit of like future racism in that guy, if you want to read that into it, because he's like, it's you're a fellow officer, and I respect that. I just don't think an android is right for a captaincy, in the same way that no one would suggest that a Klingon would make a good ship's counselor, or apparently Geordi as a black man would know how an engine works. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where are you going with this, buddy?
I rewatched it earlier today, and I caught that part about. I was like, "What are you saying?
What are you saying here?
He's saying that the person in charge of finances has to be Jewish. Is that what you're saying?"
Wait a minute. That would be a great line. It's like, I can't wait till there's more Ferengis in Starfleet. Man, our finances will be running great.
Yikes.
And I love Picard. Like at the end of Redemption, when Data submits himself for
disciplinary action,
and Picard's like, yeah, well, the term I was only following orders has been used to justify some pretty atrocious stuff. So you did what you had to do, and I love that, like, you can tell that he's smiling at the end when he goes, Mr. Data, well done, or nicely done. Like, it's just,
Exactly.
you don't have to see to know that he's smiling.
It's a good goddamn thing that worked out for Data, because it seemed like everything that he was trying was like, the area's flooded with tachyons. What is doing an additional scan? Like, there's no way you're going to be able to pick that up. It's goddamn lucky it worked, or otherwise he would have just like thrown the whole thing down the drain.
Yeah.
Well, he realized that it was down the drain anyway, because he says, it's if we do go back to Eridor, what was the name of the planet?
Epsilon Eridani.
Yeah, something like that. He says it'll be too late. So he knew that it was going to fail anyway. So he had nothing to lose.
And I think it helped that he is an android and didn't have the anxiety. Like, you could hear the whiny asshole, Sir, we were told to rendezvous, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I know.
If there's one thing that I do appreciate, we're talking about like Enterprise. I'm not going to take it off this because it definitely relates to that two-parter. It's a tech solution. And Star Trek is very technically oriented. I totally get that. And I'm not adverse to technical solutions, but to the point where it becomes a overused trope in Star Trek. I like when the solutions are action oriented on like individuals or groups parts. It's not a technical solution what Spock does by sacrificing himself at the end of Wrath of Khan. It's an individual action solution. It's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to run out there and make this thing happen, as opposed to, just run this particular scan or do this particular thing. And the worst example of that I can think of is the first Barclay episode, where I think it was the first one, where they had brought on those medical sealed containers, and they had an whatever the chemical was that was causing a breakdown or stuff all over the ship and caused the matter injectors to get stuck open.
Right.
Oh, that one.
And the glass to melt.
Yeah.
And the
I think that's
the anti-grav to fail.
Yep. And the ship's going faster and faster, and that's the central danger of the episode. And okay, now that we found this, if we get the it's an investigation oriented mystery, like what's causing this, right? And I really like that. But ultimately the solution is a technical solution, because, well, if we lower the temperature down to this given level, it'll cause that chemical to become inert and the problem should be solved. And it's not working until Picard yells out, cycle power through ventral relays, and it solves the problem. And I'm like, what does that mean? Why did they include that just what? Do you know what I mean? I don't like it when the final solution is a tech solution.
You got to wonder if the really hardcore Trekkies are yelling at the screen, reroute the power through the ventral. Why don't you oh, there he's finally said it.
Like, it's the idea being, it's like, well, they lowered the temperature and the matter injectors came online, but the antimatter did not, or vice versa. They were jammed because of the damage that had been done to them. And so cycling the power through the relays in the reverse of the ship, the ventral relays, did what? Like, it was just technobabble, really. Yeah. And the idea is we need Picard to, like, have you ever heard those things that they put tech flags in the script? Picard says tech thing, and then the technical advisors fill that in with some words that fits in with like the Star Trek technological universe. And it's like, so you imagine the script originally said Picard outbursts tech babble, and then the problem solved. And it's like, really? Like, you thought that was good in terms of like a script orientation?
The thing I liked about Redemption was some of the Worf storyline too. The time where Picard is like, don't you think it's finally time to get your honor back? Like, I liked that whole story of Worf trying to negotiate his family name back from the what's it called, the Klingon High Council. And it was a really interesting storyline, and you get to see more of Kurn,
and you get to see Gowron, which was just
Yeah.
like he went on a DS9 to be super. Like I love Robert O'Reilly's Gowron.
Yeah,
He's just
he's
so
great.
cool. He's a Klingon, definitely interested in honor and all those things, but he's definitely a political maneuverer.
Yes.
And it's written well as like, what would a political slime bag be as a Klingon? Gowron. And he's great for that, as opposed to like totally preoccupied with honor and fighting and stuff. You know, he's preoccupied with personal aggrandizement.
Yeah.
was still very much a Klingon. I love the conversation between him and Worf at the beginning of the in the transporter room.
Yeah. Where at first he goes, "I do not speak with a traitor," and then as soon as Worf brings up Duras,
he's listening.
He's like, "Wait, what?"
It's like, and there's Gowron, the political maneuver, and he's like, "The High Council knew." Like, it was great. Like, I want my family honor back, and he's like, "No, the price is too high." You know, that was great. You got to convince Picard to fight with us. Then the whole what do you think of Commander Sela? That's her name, right?
Yes.
Bashir's daughter.
Yes.
What did you think of that whole storyline, just generally?
I thought it was kind of jammed in there.
A little bit. I kind of suspend disbelief on it just to kind of accept it. But it feels a little, we want Tasha back, but we can't. So how? Here we go. You know.
Yeah, honestly, I was fine with the way yesterday's Enterprise ended, and I didn't really need that little throwback. Do you know what I mean? Like, that wasn't really necessary.
It's when Commander Sela is telling Picard what happened. It's like Tasha survived, and it's sort of a harrowing idea from yesterday's Enterprise that like she goes back in time to fight this battle and ends up being one of the few survivors in the Enterprise C, but she was never meant to be there and becomes a prisoner on the Romulan homeworld. And you think about Tasha Yar from an alternate future being there, and she has to the Romulan commander becomes enamored with her, or you know, and it becomes his consort. And when she's saying this, it's only like a few sentences. I'm like, no, that's the story I want to hear and see, not this one. You know what I mean? And she bundled up her daughter and was escaping with her, and she cried out. And it's like, no, I want to hear this story, not this Sela conspiring with the Klingons one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to see this backdoor deal with the Duras family and some like Tasha Yar descendant. Like, it was very jammed in, I found, and very, very clunky.
I don't really like the story either, that they caught her and executed her.
Because it was so quick. It's like, where's your mother now? Picard asks. Like, that's the question, right? And it's like, she was put to death. And it's like, oh, well, fuck.
It was a sour note and a good mystery. It would have been better that she was killed during the escape. You know, that she went down fighting, because that was the whole point of her death in the first place, is that when she died in the regular timeline, it was of no purpose.
Yeah.
If she was fighting and got killed on the way out, then her life would have had purpose.
I like the way you said that. Yeah, it was just a sour note in this actually kind of exciting, interesting thing, and all of a sudden it ends on this.
Specifically, what did she say to Picard on yesterday's Enterprise? I spoke with Guinan. I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, I died a useless death. I didn't like the sound of that. And it's like, well, wait till you find out what's coming for you, sweetheart.
Yeah, because it's going to be another. He's definitely a useless death. But the thing is, I don't even think she should have died. I think that she should have been shot and like fell into the water. Some trope of some sort where she escapes. She can't keep her daughter, but she does escape, and her daughter's like, she's out there somewhere right now. And she's made no attempt to get back to me, and that's why she's pissed.
But you know what? That's a good idea. That could have been really good character motivation for Sela. Actually, it's like,
Exactly.
make no mistake, Captain. Everything that was human within me died that day. It's okay. That's her motivation. But I think it would have been a better one. What you just said, where it's like, and where's your mother now? Believe me, Captain, I don't care. She escaped and she was a hunted woman, and there's rumors. But
She
you know that my mother would leave me and blah blah
Right.
blah. You know,
Right.
like
Much better.
yeah. And it's like who knows what? I hope she died a meaningless death or some kind of echo of that. That would have been
great. That would have been perfect.
Because it wouldn't have if you didn't know, it would have just been like the motivation of an embittered woman, right? But if you're a Trek nerd, it would have been a great echo callback of like exactly how Tasha Yar didn't want to die. Then they could have, if they wanted to bring her back at some point, do it, or like Thomas Riker, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
I think it would have been nice somewhere near the end of the series, last 8 episodes or somewhere in there, where there's a short, small story arc where he gets a communication that is her, but they don't know right away that it is her, and that she's somewhere, and that she's safe, and she'll be killed if she shows herself.
Yeah.
But she wants them to know that she's okay and that she's happy or something like that. That would have been a great solution to the thing. That she escaped her meaningless death and lived a happy life. That would have been fantastic.
That would have been a good story.
And tell Sela I love her or something like that. Oh my God, that would have brought the house down.
And honestly, I don't know if you've seen Denise Crosby in like even 15 years ago. Like she was hot as fuck in the first season. And she didn't. Wow, I don't know, hard living or no. Like she's like
she got gray. I mean, she aged like 20 years.
Yeah, like I saw like she was in an episode of Star Trek Phase 2, like the renamed Star Trek The New Voyages. And like as a different character, right? But like like she really didn't age well. And so my point being that if she was supposed to be Tasha Yar, this person who had like escaped and lived hard and was like constantly on the run, like, oh yeah, she looks that part.
Yeah.
Even in All Good Things. Even in All Good Things, there's like, she's lost her color. She's not tanned anymore. She's white, and there's a difference, a discernible difference between those two time periods. It's very clear.
Pincalo says Marina Sirtis looks like she's melting.
Well, yeah, facelifts will do that to you. Yeah, she really does. She looks like like she was like laying flat and began to melt because her face is stretched back from facelifts and stuff.
So what do you think about reunification? I think that's Pincalo's favorite episode, actually, that two-parter.
I loved I love lore heavy episodes that expand upon lore. And so that greatly expands upon Romulan lore. And so I'm a big fan of that aspect of it in a big way, like this sort of like almost mythical, rumored our cousins over here, like the Vulcans, right? Like it's from such a prehistory time that, you know what I mean? And there's this secret underground that's trading in this information, and how totalitarian and societally accepted totalitarian Romulan society is, how it's all duty and honor bound, and the Tal Shiar watches everybody and everything. Oh, all that stuff.
The Tal Shiar watches Romulan intelligence, and Romulan intelligence watches everybody.
It was I really dug all that stuff.
You got the military versus the Tal Shiar,
and the conversations between Picard and Spock were great. And the note that it ends on with the melding between the two of them, great stuff.
I liked the scene. Great acting between Picard and Sarek. I'm not can't remember the actor's name who plays Sarek.
Mark Leonard.
Mark Leonard, that's right. But when Sarek is dying,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing that farewell scene, it's awesome. Great
Mhm.
acting. I really, really enjoyed that scene. And it's also very interesting to see the dynamic between, like, you don't see much of the dynamic between Perrin and Sarek, but the almost like she has to force herself to be almost Vulcan in order to, because you can tell that it's hard for her. Especially what, like, trying to get his attention, and like when she tells Picard, he will either hear you or he won't.
Mhm.
And it's almost like she's had to become Vulcan herself to deal with watching her husband deteriorate in that way. And it's a really interesting little scene to watch.
The what I didn't like about reunification was the Sela aspects of it. Gosh, she fucks up everything she's in, didn't she? The well, no, we are going to be doing it turned almost into like a switch about episode. Like, yes, the reunification will be happening, but not in the way that you think it is. We're actually going to land an invasion force on Vulcan, and it's like, what? You're going to do what? Like, it wasn't even about planning operatives on Vulcan to do this or that. It was like, no, we're going to land a fucking army on Vulcan, and it's like, you can't possibly believe, Picard says, that the Federation is going to allow you to invade one of the founding worlds of the Federation.
Yeah.
He goes, oh no, they'll try and stop us, but we'll be there, entrenched. There's going to be like 5,000 of you. Big fucking deal. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That writing made her seem very Bond villain.
Yes. Well said. Yes.
Just didn't work.
Just ridiculous plan that doesn't make any sense. I enjoyed the mystery aspect of Riker on this investigation of it began with stolen Vulcan parts found as contraband on the floor of their shuttle bay or their cargo bay. What the hell? So that leads to this shipyard, which leads to a ship transporting illegal contraband, which then leads to, and it's like, where's this? This is interesting. Where is this going? And it all goes back to, well, they're stealing Vulcan ships because they're going to have a bunch of Romulan soldiers on them to invade Vulcan. And I'm like, really? Really?
And they're gonna have a cheesy Spock hologram distract everybody.
Like
what?
Yeah. One of my friends suggested something that I thought was actually sharp. If Spock could be convinced of the value of reunification, shouldn't there be Vulcans that could be logically convinced of we are the as has been said in like, what was it, in Star Trek 3, the Vulcans are the intellectual puppets of the Federation. And it's like, there's certain Vulcans that see it that way. Yes, we are the intellectual puppets of the Federation. There is more logic in reuniting with our distant relatives, the Romulans, than there is in trying to appease the Federation Council. So they are working with Sela on Vulcan. Like that, you know what I mean? Like there's an underground on both Romulus and Vulcan.
Yeah.
Working
that would make more sense.
Working at cross purposes. That would have been a lot more intriguing, I thought. I'm like, that's not a bad suggestion at all, man. It's like,
yeah, so that would have been some good story.
And so the ships would have been like, no, it was tech and underground officers and everything to furnish the Vulcan underground with a massive support. So they weren't landing an invasion force. They were landing like something that would greatly undermine the stability of the Vulcan power structure by supplying their underground.
Pincalo says in the video she's even framed like a Bond villain. In the actual episode, she's like filmed in a certain angle, I guess he's trying to say.
Oh, like, really? Like upward and menacing?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch. That'd be good.
Something about the camera work and the production values of of those two shows that just didn't strike home with me either. I mean, if my microphone is not in the position I left it when I walk in the room, I notice it immediately. Yet Data produces a false wall that looks completely different from the real wall and hides behind it, and nobody notices.
Yeah, the wall suddenly, the room got smaller by like 8 square feet, and nobody noticed.
It's just weird things like that. Like Data uses the neck pinch to put someone to sleep, and Spock says, "Nice, nice." That's not Spock. Nice.
Yeah.
That doesn't. That's not Spock. Spock would say, "That's impressive," or something along that line. Not nice. It just doesn't fit his character. And Silas working on a speech on a pad the size of my phone.
Oh, I don't want to turn my mic on, so I'll explain what I mean, Polly.
All right.
Good. What I mean by that is, if you look at the way, like when she's sitting in that chair,
Okay.
and the camera pans to her as she leans forward, it's like Goldmember. Or Goldfinger, yeah, Goldfinger.
Goldfinger, yeah, Goldmember had it.
It's like one of those kind of Bondish villains where like, oh, I'm going to tell you my secret plan.
I
that
see.
kind of a thing.
Okay, like she should have had a high back chair and been steepling her fingers.
Yeah, she should have had she should have been tenting her fingers and sitting in a high back chair.
Well, I'll explain it to you, Mr. Picard. What you did. Picard, you also mentioned like there are 4 lights. Yeah, I don't even like to talk about that. It was so deep, like that last moment that Chain of Command ends on with like it's awesome. Picard's statement of there are 4 lights, like that was epic because that's his you haven't broken me moment. You know what I mean? But he admits later that he was broken.
Like
it was just
he just walks in. He's very brusque with Jellicoe because Jellicoe's like, I relieve you, sir. And he goes, I stand relieved. And then just turns and leaves. And Deanna just follows him.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like, it goes, I really believe that I could see 5 lights. And what's so tragic about that? It's so hard to like, just like even wrap your head around. When he was yelling, that wasn't a moment of victory. He wasn't yelling at his captor. He was yelling at himself.
Yeah.
He saw 5 lights and he was screaming, no, there are 4 lights at him.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like it's oh Jesus. This high drama.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was it's a good episode. Chain of Command. It's
What kills me is that the only Star Trek episode to receive a parental warning when it was originally aired is Conspiracy from the first season because they blow up the guy's head that had the mother alien in it with phasers.
That episode, actually, Pinkala will say it. He's like, that episode still freaks me out.
Oh yeah, it's essentially creepy, absolutely, because there's this like it's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You know what I mean? Like what's going on, and it is creepy, and simply because of the graphicness of them like shooting. What's his name?
Captain Remick or Commander Remick.
Commander Remick, yeah. That he, he's the one who's got the mother alien in him and blows him up. So there's this parental advisory. If anything, there should be a parental advisory because of the fucking torture scenes of Picard. Yeah. Oh my! They strip him naked and hang him by his wrists overnight. Like, oh my God! Like it's, and I will only refer to you as human. Like it's so, ugh.
I love the scene where Picard gets the Cardassian to be like, Picard, stop it. And he's like, ha ha ha, you called me Picard. And it's like, oh, God damn.
Yeah. What are the defense plans for Minos Corva? There are 4 lights.
Yeah.
Just like I said, great scripting. 2 actors who brought their A game. There's nothing to bitch about there. It's just pure gold. It's yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got Birthright, the second 2-parter in season 6, and I liked Birthright.
You know what? I liked Birthright, but I really don't think there's any denying that the two stories had nothing to fucking do with
Oh,
each
they
other.
did not at all.
It's like, okay, so
Nothing.
we got Worf doing this interesting thing on this interesting Romulan Klingon prison camp, now society planet, okay, and Data trying to find out the meaning of dreams. What? Like,
Well, what they have in common is the search for a father. That's what they both had in common.
now I hear you. Do you think that was after the fact or before the fact?
I think that was supposed to be the motivation, and then they forgot to include it in the story.
Mhm. Until
mean-
the end of the episode where Jada finally sees Sung in his dream, and you're the bird, Data.
Yeah,
You're the bird.
I do really enjoy the line, and have often thought back on it. No man should know where his dreams come from.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would ruin it if you did. It's best that you don't know where they come from. Like, it's, what was the purpose? Well, no man should know where his dreams come from. Like, it's, you are the bird, Data. What does that mean? I don't know. It's
Yeah.
dreams aren't, as Michael Mann loves to repeat, the director, he's really into dream imagery in film and stuff, right? He's like, dreams are not wish fulfillment. Dreams are not worries, concerns, anxieties, or nothing. Dreams are
Mhm.
dreams. And it's like, what does that mean? Exactly. It's they just are what they are. And you can build meaning out of them, extract meaning from them, or read meaning into them. That's the weird thing about them. And yeah, I like that perspective. I think it says more than any psychological interpretation is worth, or biological one.
What do you think about the glimpse of Klingon culture that you got to see? It was really interesting that they were trying to preserve their culture, but they were so dishonored. I found that weird.
I thought it weird how quickly they gave up on it, but how protective they were of it when it happened. I did enjoy the when they all started singing the Klingon hunting anthem or whatever it was, victory song. It's like they're kind of remembering the lyrics as
Yeah.
I love the Klingon youth where he's like, a song taught to me only as a lullaby, but it's a song of a warrior, or however he says it. And it's I really dug that scene. It reminded me of Casablanca when they all start singing the French national anthem, where it's like, what have we been doing up to this point? We've been living lives other than our own, kind of thing. That was good. But I agree with you. It seemed kind of weird that just for the sake of, we can't go back to Kronos because we've been dishonored, so we're going to live here. Why haven't you all committed suicide?
Yeah. Because that's what they should have done as good Klingons, right? Is they should have, when they were captured, is they should have suicided.
Yeah.
Not made babies with the Romulan captors.
I liked the position that the Romulan jailer was in. I liked his motivation. It's like he gave up his career because it's like the option given to me was kill them all, or you stay there and you're responsible for them.
Yeah.
And being Romulans are duty obsessed. It's their culture. It's the way they think. And he's like, he chooses to remain the jailer, so to speak, but not really the jailer. It's just, I can't, I don't think there's any honor, like honor as he would see it in terms of duty, is having them all killed. So I'm going to stay here and forgoes an entire career over it. I liked his stuff. I just didn't get the Klingons stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It didn't make sense within their cultural context.
Hiding away the armor and using batleths as gardening tools. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
I liked Worf's, how sad he felt, like, where it's like when he picks up the knife and it's entirely rusted, and he's like, he says in his somber way, it should not have been allowed to rust like this, because there's no preparation in that. You must be prepared. No, there's no battle to be done here, but that's not the point. The idea of letting it just sit here and go to hell is just this. There's something wrong in that. And I love when he takes the young guy hunting.
Yes.
It teaches them the excitement of, this is the moment when life and death meet. Like, that whole thing. Like, I love lore. I love great with lore. It's yeah. You see the excitement on the part of Klingons with it's the hunt is a ritual to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's part of their nature to be excited by such things. So of course they'd have an entire culture built up around it. That was great.
And then you see Worf have to struggle with the fact that he's kind of crushing on this chick, and then he's realized she's half Romulan,
Yeah.
and he's got this hate on for the Romulans, which is justified, I would say. But then he's like, well, how do I correlate this fact that I hate the Romulans, but here's this half Klingon, half Romulan who's clearly not a horrible person.
You know, yeah, and the first time he sees her, it's too bad that didn't happen in Enterprise, because you would have seen a lot more nudity if it had happened in Enterprise. But it was TNG, so you see her at a great distance when she's bathing originally, like it's through leaves and
very dark.
I'm sorry?
It's very dark.
Yeah. And that's, you know, like, unlike Enterprise, where it's just like there's fucking male and female nudity left, right, and center, or unclothedness, I should say. Lack of clothedness, because there's, well, no, you do see T'Pol's butt, like straight up, there's her ass. Like, you know, that's
Well, the top part.
the top part, yeah.
Yeah, you get to see.
I just watched an episode where Archer was in the shower and the gravity turned off.
That was great. Like, he's floating and he hits the comm button and he's like, so is anything going on? And it's like, what, did you receive it? Have you had any problems, Captain? And he's like floating, there's all this water floating with him. He's like, no, everything's fine. You know?
When will the gravity be back? Smash any minute, sir.
See,
well, thanks.
That's why I felt bad for Skep when he said he just never liked Scott Bakula. I'm like, oh, that's too bad, because if you did, Archer's a really enjoyable character played by Bakula. You know, it's
yeah. They put out StarTrek.com put out a poll that said who would cook the best, which captain would have the best Thanksgiving dinner, and although Archer's not among my top picks for captain, I would have to say it would be a run for him and Sisko for who would put on the best Thanksgiving spread, I think.
Yeah, it would have to be Archer or Sisko, because they would be the only two interested in serving non-replicated food.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Because
Janeway can't even get a replicated roast properly done. And
because Picard actually served a replicated turkey in one episode, if you think about it.
Yes, he did.
When Kern comes on, and he's like, well, you do understand that it's not killed, it's been cooked or replicated, and we serve most of our food cooked. And he goes, yes, I was told to prepare for that. Well, I will try some of your replicated bird meat. Yeah. And it was Picard sitting there carving the turkey, and it's like, you have no class, sir. You're serving a replicated turkey. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Except for of course, the only thing he serves that isn't replicated is the caviar. Like, oh God, so poncy.
What is it? The unhatched eggs of a later Data.
And I don't know if you knew this, Blind, but when he goes, Picard says, yes, our replicator was never able to do it justice, so I squirreled away a few canisters for special occasions.
Yeah.
And Kern goes, oh, I'm honored, Captain. And he scoops it up with his hands and smears it on the turkey.
I did not know that at all.
Yeah. And what he had picked up was a giant turkey leg. And so he just smeared it on the top of the turkey leg. And I'm like, oh God, that's perfect. That's just fucking perfect.
That is hilarious.
Can you imagine salty ass caviar on top of turkey skin?
And honestly, the only thing I could see a Klingon enjoying would be caviar.
Well, I'm trying to think. It's like, if anything, you think they would like Sisko's cooking, because the complaint that Kern offers and other people offer is that there's very little taste to human food. So one
Mhm.
would think powerful flavors and spices and stuff would be what they would like. So Cisco cooking Louisiana food full of all sorts of spices and flavors would probably be the best thing. And it's, yeah, okay, turkey isn't the most flavorful thing in the world. You should have given them some like extra heavy duty blue cheese and cayenne pepper, and there's all sorts of powerfully flavored things. Come on now.
Yeah, let's serve the Klingon like the most bland thing you could possibly think of.
Yeah. It's steamed white bread and unseasoned turkey breast. Like it's
And then there's my I would have to say my second favorite episode, which is Descent. Descent is my favorite, or my second favorite episode.
I Descent Part 2 is your which what do you I'm sorry?
Both of them, both just Descent in general is my second favorite episode, apart from, because I said Best of Both Worlds was my favorite.
Really? That's an
Um,
I'm not the biggest fan of Descent. I liked Descent Part 1. I thought was creepy and interesting and intriguing. What's going on with the Borg and what is it that they're doing with Data? And then this big thing where Lore is back at the end. And then Part 2, and now this is just my opinion, Part 2 for me was like just a big bore fest because it turns into this, fucking what's his name?
Hugh.
Hugh's there, and he met up with the Borg lore, and he was doing all these weirdo experiments, and I don't know, it just kind of fell apart in Part 2 for me. And Beverly Crusher's in charge of the Enterprise, and I don't know.
We've got the ensigns bitching at each other, the ensign and the lieutenant.
Right.
I kind of like Beverly Crusher being in charge of the Enterprise. I kind of like that. That's like she did a good job. I was like, yeah, all right, Bev.
Bet you never thought you'd be on the bridge of the Enterprise for your first day, did you, Kate? Like the little quips she has.
She used the best part of that was the whole deal with the metaphasic shield from a previous episode. She used that to her advantage because it's something she knew about that maybe Picard wouldn't have picked up,
Yeah, Picard probably wouldn't have used that.
So
because she was doing that whole investigation on the death of the Ferengi. So yeah, she would have. Picard wouldn't have thought about the metaphasic shielding.
Right. It was still on her agenda because it's something she was definitely into.
Yeah.
I meant to ask you, I was looking back at your list in the Twatters, and you know what I see here that
I missed Gambit.
You missed Gambit.
I know, I put it in the tags. Because when I tweeted you guys and then today, I was going back over the list in my head and I went, oh, I missed Gambit. How did I do that?
So just to kind of like think, we've talked. What haven't we talked? We haven't talked about Gambit 1 and 2. What else have we?
We missed.
Didn't really talk about Farpoint.
We didn't really talk about Farpoint because we kind of talked about it in the pilot review, but
well, I got a little bit of an issue here because it turns out Reject can't run the stream tonight.
Okay,
and Chaos can't back her up. So
we will go until we'll do Gambit, and we'll touch on All Good Things.
Is that all outside of? Assuming that we've already done Farpoint, because kind of sort of we already have. Fair enough. So it's just Gambit and All Good Things. Is that all that's left?
Yeah, because we covered. Well, we didn't really cover Best of Both Worlds. We just really I said it was my favorite, and
it is.
You said it was the best.
I said it was the best, but it's like I don't know what to talk about. Like it just in the sense that it has been so thoroughly covered. If anything, I'd like to hear what people didn't like about it, or missed opportunities are always some of my favorite things to hear from different people. Like, I would have liked to have heard more about this, and stuff. I know a missed opportunity I'd like to talk about with the Best of Both Worlds. They reference this great thing where it's like the power of the Borg is their unified consciousness.
Yeah.
There's no individuals within it. That's also the great horror of becoming a Borg. Great core idea. Like, just, that's also their Achilles heel. That was a really interesting idea. And Beverly Crusher sums it up, as always happens as a Star Trek trope. Somebody will say something really complicated, and then someone will sum it up with a simple analogy, right? It's Riker says that if one of them jumps off a cliff, they all jump off a cliff. Yes, they can't separate themselves from one of their members. It would be like asking one of us to remove an arm or a leg.
Yeah.
And if to further that analogy, maybe the Borg can do it, but it's painful or destructive to them somehow to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way it would be removing an arm or a leg for one of us. And so the idea of we now have Picard, it's over like sleep, put them to sleep data, and that becomes the solution. I'm kind of wishing that they would have made it about, I'm not sure how it would have played out. I'd have to think it over, ramble around some ideas with people. But somehow it's the idea that we have one of them, and it's a very important one of them, i.e. Locutus.
Mm-hmm.
He's connected to them, and they can't just sever him. And we've got him now. Something they could do with this, like if they go away at warp 3, they have to follow them or something. Like, what I mean? Like something along those lines. That, like, yeah, if one of them jumps off a cliff, they all gotta go. It's their great strength, but it's also their essential weakness. And they never played that out in any other treks subsequently with the Borg, except for the idea that you infect one of them with something, you infect the entire collective. That's the only time that it ever played out like that again. Yeah. I love the idea, because then, like, this great insurmountable menace, this powerhouse of destruction that is the Borg, there is a way that you can fuck with them, because their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness if you can take advantage of it.
I think they had a missed opportunity with that in Next Gen, like you said. They did a better job of covering that in Voyager.
It kind of goes against their ethos. If adding people brings them closer to perfection, then subtracting somebody goes against that tenet. Right?
Okay.
And are they willing to go backwards? Because that's what removing somebody would be. It would be going against their prime directive of attaining perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Can they make that concession? Well,
maybe you could make the argument that it would be like, it's not like when they look, so they include Picard and now they know everything about Starfleet operations, but it's not like downloading someone's brain. Picard's brain becomes a node within the consciousness. So if you remove Picard from it, they lose all that knowledge. Something along those lines, maybe? Like, that's why they wouldn't be willing to separate. Suddenly they would be in the middle of space, that the cube would be in. They wouldn't know anything about Starfleet operations anymore if they cut Picard off.
Yeah.
I had lots of ideas to play with or whatever, but I think that would have been a better avenue to go down than the sleep thing worked. It did, but
I didn't see it coming.
No.
Contest.
Oh man, if they would have ended up fucking, it would have been perfect.
It was definitely. Yeah.
Man, he should have nailed Shelby in a big way.
Well, he should have nailed her in a big way, in the old-fashioned way. The conversation that they have inside the fucking. Oh, Shelby, shut up! Like, you just want to backhand her.
Maybe not quite that, but.
Well, no, I mean, because you know what? That's never happened on Trek that I'm aware of. If it is, guys, remind me. But you always get this, like, stop. And he goes, you go over my head again, Commander, I'll snap you back so hard you think you were a first-year cadet. If I may also speak candidly, sir. He should have just said, denied.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear, like, may I speak freely, sir? No. I want to hear that on Star Trek just one time. Somebody, refuse them. It's like, no, and just walk away. I don't want to fucking hear your little opinion. cans, you know.
Well, and she made a huge miscalculation, and nobody called her out on it. That when she went down to the planet with Data, and like Pikal pissed off that she went without him and the rest of the team because the Borg could have come and gotten them, and she goes, 2 extra people wouldn't have made a difference. You had a fucking who was the fucking second officer of the Enterprise. Like, Picard obviously was the better choice for the Borg to steal, but like if they had the opportunity to take Data,
which they eventually
do, you can't tell me that wouldn't be a huge blow to the Federation.
Well,
you fucking retard.
To me, it strikes me as kind of, and did at the time as just like not right. That's not correct. It's Data was right there when Shelby received a direct order that, if I may continue with Commander Data, who does not require rest. You require rest, Commander.
Yeah.
I don't want a team fighting on fatigue while they're trying to fight the Borg, etc. And he actually names the time that we're going to do the beam down. And then Shada subsequently and says, Commander Data, we're going to beam down, even though, the actual beam down time isn't from an hour from now. Data being Data you would think would have responded, and Commander Riker's not coming. Oh, don't worry about Commander Riker. Has there been a change in his orders that I'm not aware of? Like, he was aware of the order. Data's not so dumb. Why did he go along with this?
The only thing I can think of is that she lied, but Data would have still like called Commander Riker
to at least verify it. I mean, and not even verified. It's like I could see Data believing it. Like, it's like, if let's say Shelby lies and says, yes, Commander Riker did alter his orders to me, I can see Data going, okay, and then going along with it. Like, why would he assume that he was being lied to by a Starfleet commander?
Yeah.
Okay, great. If anything, Riker should have also dressed down Data a little bit, not harshly, but like, when I gave my orders, yes, sir. Did she tell you that those orders had changed? No. Okay, what the fuck's wrong with you, positron boy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you went with the trillions of calculations per second, and there wasn't one that was like, maybe this isn't right. It's just saying.
And what did you think? Now, I think we can. I don't know if you guys have anything else to cover for Best of Both Worlds, but I think it's a good segue to go into Gambit and say, what do you think of Data and Command of the Enterprise?
I'm just running through it in my mind, the things that he did well in Command. The back and forth with Riker while on the what did they keep referring to it as? The ship, that it was the stealth ship. Is that what they called it?
The stealth ship, yeah.
Like the thiever's ship or whatever they.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the ship.
Did they ever name it? I just meant like whatever they kept calling it. Like,
honestly, I don't think they did say the name of the ship. I think they just called it the stealth ship.
Okay. I thought his interactions with Riker while he was on board the other ship were kind of, they weren't bad, but they just struck me as like another replay of what happened in not Changing Faces. What's the episode where they kidnapped Counselor Troy and take her on board?
Face of the Enemy.
Face of the Enemy, which in my opinion is one of those underrated episodes. It's really a great. People don't talk about it for some reason. It's, even Marina Sirtis comes with her fucking A game there. Like, it's.
I will go to Taref and have her throw you out the airlock. Do you understand, Sub-Commander?
Yeah, she goes from the range of I'm scared to death and I don't know what I'm doing to like, all right, well, my life's on the line. I might as well, go all in on this.
I don't know about Marina Sirtis and her A game. For as much as that seems to be impressive, I wouldn't even flinched a little bit if she would have done that to me in real life. I'd be like, "Look, you little 4'3" girl, there's no way your yelling and screaming is going to even moderately impact my personal feelings on this subject."
Yeah.
She's just not an imposing person. When she yells, she's like a little kid who can't get her way. So it's just like, I want this. It's like, shut up. I have no respect for her when it comes to her acting chops, especially when she has to go to an extent. You know, she's not really good in love scenes. She's not really good in anger scenes. Anything that's outside of Counselor Troy, I just don't see it. And maybe it's just me, but she doesn't impress me with that stuff. I just don't get it.
She's a great actress. I think with a lot of people in Star Trek, you simply become familiar, thus forgiving of them. You know,
Yeah.
She's funny. She's great in conventions and stuff like that. But as far as a dramatic lead role kind of in a real movie, nah, it's never gonna happen.
So I like the dynamic. Getting back to Gambit, because I know we're running short on time.
Yeah, I got that'll here in a minute.
I like the dynamic between Data and Worf. And when Worf basically expresses his displeasure with
Data has addressed him now.
Yeah, and it's the down ever, because at the end he goes, "I'm sorry if I've ended our friendship."
Like, it's such an android approach to the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're right. Like, he's like, I do not ever recall you expressing blah 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 in front of Commander Riker or Captain Picard. Like, and it's like he just approaches the whole thing so robotically, and it's and then Worf saying, "No, sir, it is I who have put our friendship in jeopardy. I'd like to accuse your friend." He goes, "Why?" Sits down. He does the Picard straighten my shirt thing.
The Picard maneuver.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, great. It's like Data's like, "Yeah, like command." It's
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff. Just as a quick little side note, because I think it needs to be pointed out, like in a role thing that isn't. It's like, let's say Hollywood movies. It's like, oh well, we got this big name actor, but are they credible in the role? Like it's supposed to be a badass woman who can really kick a lot of ass, model in the role. Yeah, but she's not credible in the role. Like, you know what I mean? Credible commanding presence is the Romulan commander in the face of the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the second time she actually played a Romulan commander.
Yes. She was in Contagion, right?
Yes. Another pretty cool little episode, I think. You see the explosion of a gas for no good fucking reason except for drama in the episode. Romulan commander didn't have much screen time, and quite intelligently, I think they brought her back again because her interaction over the dinner table with Troy was fucking excellent. Like, she's this protection. How was the Empire threatened by an old man who was just like, oh, she's so credible in the role of a commander. She just brings it. It, unlike where you were saying, Hammer, where it's like somebody just, Counselor Troy yelling, I just don't believe that you're of a command presence of any kind. Yeah.
And then the episode where she tries to become a commander, and she's all pissed off because she keeps failing the test, and she's like, "Why won't you tell me where I went wrong?"
Right? What did you? So Gambit 1 and 2 blind. Did you like the main idea of the stories? They're after these artifacts, and the artifacts to put together an ancient Vulcan psionic weapon. Did you like that idea?
I thought it was interesting. I was far more interested in the subterfuge Riker and Picard were playing.
Yeah, I would have that it was putting together to make a weapon. I don't. and it's like, and Picard like uses his archaeology brain to go, but I can see the other figure that's the god of peace is separating the god of war, and therefore I know that if I just sit here and think about hugging you, you can't hurt me. Like it was just kind of like,
Yeah. It was. The ending was kind of weak.
I don't like the actress that they chose at the end when she's trying to use a psionic wave.
Yeah.
She's shaking. Her hands are shaking when she's trying to use it. Just come on. That was.
I did like the idea of the ship of criminals that are all controlled by pain devices.
Yeah.
Kept in line by pain devices. That was pretty cool. It was fun to see that there's this group of pirates, basically, mercenaries, what have you.
Did Picard look frumpy to you in that outfit that he had on? He looked old and frumpy to me. He looked like he aged 10 years and got fat. Just an observation.
I love Picard trying to inform Riker of what he's hoping to get him to do with that speech. He's like, well, this guy's not going to be of help to you. What makes you say that, Galen? Well, if this is the same William Riker that I've heard of, history of insubordination, blah, 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 gives him his whole backstory. Run with it, Riker, run with it. It's
yeah.
And court-martialed. I've got none of them before. That was fun.
That was fun, yeah. And the Klingon and the other thing I liked about Data's command was the where they stopped the Klingon scout ship.
Oh yeah, with the 8-foot-tall Klingon, and
with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Was that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there?
It was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's so many guest appearances in Star Trek that people don't know about. Do you remember Nemesis, the movie?
Yes.
Remember the female Romulan captain who comes at the end and tries to help Picard fight the Scimitar? Remember that chick? She says, "I have Romulan ale for you, Captain. We'll drink after this fight's over," or something like that. You remember that lady?
Oh yeah.
You know who that is?
No.
You ever see the movie Starship Troopers? Remember Dizzy?
Oh really?
That's Dizzy.
Same. Wow.
I know. Number of shows, things like that, where people are in from other shows and stuff like that. It's just amazing in Star Trek. There's the episode with the two fish people. They're two DJs in LA's top radio station or something like that. They were guest appearances like that. Anyway, I have to run. I'll get 10 minutes to set up an OBS stream. So.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I have to get out of here. You two feel free to continue the conversation. I'm going to jump out. But
all right. Well, thanks, Hammer.
Thanks for having me. You guys enjoy the rest of the show. If you guys want to stop by, I don't have any guests set up for tonight because it was just kind of handed off last minute. So if you guys aren't busy and you want to stop by and say hello, that'd be great.
Sure.
All right. I'm going to get going pretty soon here myself because nature's calling. I must go use the washroom because I've been drinking coffee all day.
Oh, well, that worked.
Have a good night.
All right. Have a good night, Hammer.
So we've got, I don't know, what did you, we'll do all good things real fast and then we'll end.
Okay.
What did you think about all good things? Would you think it was a good way to end?
Okay, like I think a lot of like series ends like and when we're talking like specifically the last scene, I thought was epic. Just Picard sitting down and playing poker and sky's the limit and they go off into the sunset.
Yeah.
I thought that was an excellent end because it's not an end like where everything's over and done with. It's like the end of Star Trek 6 is like first star on the right and straight on till morning. And it's just great. Like it's just nice. It doesn't need to be the end like everybody's fucking funeral, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
So in terms of that end, I liked it. In terms of like last episode, it did bookend it very nicely by bringing back the post-apocalyptic court of horrors, as Picard called it in Encounter at Farpoint, like with Q as the judge again, dressed in the same garb. And I like that line where it's you propose to put us on trial again, and Q's like, you don't get it, the trial never ends.
Yeah, the trial never ends. Yeah, I like that, and I liked how he took Picard back to the beginning of to the primeval Earth.
Yeah, this is your old stomping grounds, France.
Yeah.
And Picard looks at him and goes, I'm serious.
Yeah. I think that's the best part of the actual TNG series is the dynamic between Q and Picard.
Yeah, it is good. It's Picard's so serious, and Q's so not, that they're just a great classic odd couple, right?
Yeah,
those are awesome.
I liked ending the series with a time travel episode because next gen time travel most of the time.
Yeah, as a lot of people. I know a lot of people love to criticize time travel, but of course, one of the things about it is if you start thinking about it, it can fall apart. I only mind if they are. The only thing I want is them to be generally consistent in the way that they're conceiving of time travel.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, follow their own rules.
Right, and not to hyper details like those, like the really small details. Like if you ever listen to the audio commentary of this can sound funny, but it is related to Back to the Future 3.
Okay.
Bob Gale, the writer of all three Back to the Future movies, is talking about it, and he spent so much time addressing complaints that he's heard over the years. Not complaints exactly, raised issues with time travel. Wouldn't this have happened, or wouldn't that have happened? He actually thought it all through and had an answer for everything. He's no, if you'll notice this one part, that's why we included this, because this makes more sense, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He goddamn well tried to follow the rules that they established.
Yeah.
He really tried. And there's a couple of places where he kind of goes, yeah, we played a little fast and loose with this one, but here's why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all I want. Unlike with Terminator, the Terminator series, where it does not follow its own rules.
No, it does not.
And that's why I think it's so wide open to being criticized. It's like, you're not even trying, guys. It's but Star Trek, with All Good Things, it's consistent, and it's Picard. When Q brings Picard back to his youth at the academy, just graduating from the academy, and Tapestry.
Mm-hmm.
He makes it clear to Picard that, like, yeah, I'm manipulating things because I'm a Q, damn it. I can do, right? Is it, of course, they're not seeing you as you see yourself, or as you see yourself in the mirror, and so on. But believe me, everybody thinks you are the Jean-Luc Picard of that era because he's Q and he can do that. Why is it that the various time periods, the three time periods they're operating in, aren't affecting each other? Because Q is making it that way. He says as much, because I'm trying to get you to learn some, like, how does he say it to him at the end? What's the line that Q? It's not about exploring space, it's about exploring the limitless possibilities of reality, or something.
Yeah, something along those lines. It's a brilliant line.
Yeah. Because for that moment, you were open to something you had never considered before. And that was the test, right? That's what he was trying to put upon him. And I thought that was great. So yeah, I liked it overall. It's when you got a series as iconic and as influential as TNG, how do you end it?
That's how.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time imagining something that could have done it as well.
I would agree.
It bookended the series where it's Picard in the future, Picard in the present day, and Picard from episode 1. Like or time periods rather. And it's asked for it. It's flashbacks, it's nostalgia, but it's not fan service. So yeah, overall, like, if you're going to end a series as iconic as that and do it in a really big way, fuck yeah, nothing wrong with All Good Things at all.
And I think on that note, guys, I'm going to let poor Polly go to the bathroom.
Well, I appreciate that.
Pardon?
I said, well, I appreciate that. Unlike Monkey with his streams, who's like, 4 or 5 times during his 3-hour stream in the Monkey in the morning, it'd be like, Dax, take over. I'm going away for a minute, handing his stream over to other people on a regular basis.
Well, thanks for coming and talking with me, Polly, and of course, thank you to Hammer. And I hope Skeptalk feels better. I know he was sick, so hopefully he feels better soon. Everyone, thanks for coming in and listening and hanging out in the chat. Why don't you guys hop on over to Minions of the Zoo and take a listen over there? There's always some good conversation over on Minions.
Yeah, I didn't have the browser open because of having my potato isn't working quite so well right now. I think I'm gonna.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna go for a hard restart here. So I only caught part of what chat was saying, but I always love it when people show up in chat. So I'm sorry I wasn't interacting with you guys more. I just didn't have it up for most of the stream, but it's always awesome when people are asking questions and talking. Chat's always appreciated.
Yeah, it's great, guys. Thanks for coming out. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night for the Blind and the Special. I'll be unlocking more boxing characters in Ready to Rumble and playing some more Soul Calibur. So thanks, guys, for coming in. And next week, I'm thinking we'll be tackling all of the Voyager two-parters, and hopefully Skep will be able to join us for that.
Really? You're not going to do the DS9 first?
Oh, shit. You know what? I always forget Voyager comes after DS9 for some reason. Well, I better finish watching DS9 then.
If you're familiar with Voyager, do Voyager first. You're not under any obligation,
We actually will do Voyager first because I won't be able to watch 1.5 seasons of DS9 before next week.
Especially considering the last 9, I'm going to say, temporarily episodes of DS9 are all part of the culmination of the end of the Dominion War. So it can be considered more or less a 9-parter because every episode leads into the next one. They're all in sequence.
Uh-oh, there's an awake child who is crying.
I can hear it. So yeah, now it's time to go.
Yep. Well, thanks everyone for coming out.